My sister ruined my life because our parents favor me over her. I, 25 female, have always been in competition with my sister, 27 female, since I can remember. I was a baby born after a miscarriage our mom had, so my parents were very happy and shifted their attention away from my sister and onto me. I want to clarify that I never took joy in this, but I knew I was favored over my sister due to unfair circumstances. I tried to connect with her growing up because I considered her a really cool person, but she always seemed uninterested, which only made my parents chew her out for hurting my feelings. Obviously, that only caused her to hate me more. When I turned 15, I completely stopped engaging with her. My parents didn't push for us to be friends either and kept their attention on me, which has always bugged me because who wants to be cuddled and surveilled 24/7? Anyway, things went alright for me and I eventually got myself into a good college, and my parents offered to pay for everything: food, rent, school supplies, etc., since I wanted to move out of their house. I wanted to be independent, so I declined. But when my sister heard of this, she was understandably mad, as they had refused to pay for anything and told her she needed to learn responsibility by paying for her own things. She blew up at my parents, but mostly at me for stealing away the attention of our parents her entire life and making her miserable. I tried to explain that I agreed that they were bad parents and that she deserved better, but she just told me to shut my whole mouth and that she didn't need my sympathy. My parents forced her to apologize and threatened to cut contact if she didn't. I agree that was harsh, but I understand how frustrated she must have felt her whole life, so I don't hold it against her. Since she didn't have much of a support system other than them, she sent me a super long apology over text and tried to mend things, though it was obvious she only did it just because she was forced to. During the first few months of college, I ended up meeting a guy named John, 26 male, and we started dating shortly after. Everything just clicked, and it seemed like he knew my every thought. At my 20th birthday party, I introduced him to my family and everything seemed to go well. I kept my family and John separate because my parents were always super nosy and my sister seemed extremely judgmental when I would bring company. This time around, she was super friendly though. Looking back, my sister was definitely a little too touchy with him, but I chalked that up to her just wanting to overcompensate to mend our relationship further. After I graduate, John ended up proposing and I said yes, as I was head over heels in love. We decided on having a wedding once we had secured good paying jobs, and things seems to be perfect between us. Flash forward to 3 weeks ago, and I got the most gut-wrenching message of my life. It was from my sister, telling me that she was pregnant and it was John's. In addition to that, she sent screenshots of messages and explicit images between the two. They professed their love for each other multiple times, and John said that my sister was the best he'd ever had in his life, despite him saying the same to me. It had been going on for a majority of the years we'd been together. To say I sobbed my eyes out would be an insulting understatement. I asked her how she could do this to me, and she replied, "Now you know how it feels to get your whole life ripped away from you. He loves me more, and I'll make sure he leaves your sorry butt for me and our baby. Go cry to our parents and see if I care," and then blocked me before I could respond. I screenshotted a lot of it before she did. The best word I used to call my fiancé came home hours later from work and saw me crying. He begged to know what was wrong and tried to comfort me, but I blew up at him and kicked him out. It's my apartment that we share. He admitted to the affair over text and said he loved me but loved my sister too and had to be there for his child, so the engagement is off. His brother came and took all his stuff, and he hasn't even given me an apology for any of this. I've been crying for almost a month straight, and all I want to do is beat the living crap out of my sister. But I know I would go to jail, especially since she's pregnant. I used to look up to her so much, and I thought that things were finally looking up. But then she decided to backstab me, and for what? Mommy and daddy's love that I never wanted in the first place? I barely even liked my parents either because of their behavior. But I'm the villain? For Pete's sake, you would think an almost 30-year-old woman would seek therapy or talk to me directly about her resentment. But no, she had to sabotage my life for the sake of hers being awful. I can't even feel any sympathy for her anymore, and I just want to go away forever. I have extremely alarming thoughts, but I've just resorted to locking myself in my room all day since I work remotely, and it's calmed down in the last few days. My sister unblocks me occasionally to keep rubbing it in my face that he chose her over me, sending picture of them together and her baby bump. I've already blocked her to make sure she leaves me alone. She's a grown woman for God's sake, gloating like a child. If he's willing to cheat on me for so long, I feel incredibly bad for their baby, but definitely not for her. I haven't told my parents yet, and I'm unsure how to even go about it. They'd 100% take my side, but they aren't good people, so I don't want their crappy support. I haven't told my friends, and I don't have a therapist. I want to tell someone, but this is so incredibly humiliating that I can't bring myself to do much but cry and drown myself in work. I saw myself growing old with him and having my sister as a bridesmaid. Like I really thought we'd grown past our issues, but now they're together and left me to fend for myself. Again, this is so goddamn humiliating, but I need to talk to someone. Now for the top comments. Your sister just destroyed her whole life to mess with yours. You will move on from this. Her? She's stuck with a man she doesn't love, just the man she used, that she knows is a cheater, and she's bringing her child into this. She will never be able to get past what she just did to herself. Is she going to brag about how she met him to her kid? His family knows who you are. This will follow her. Her whole life she has made about you, her childhood, her adult years, her future child's life. The fact that you never blamed your sister for being mad at you shows how emotionally mature and compassionate you are. One day you are going to be married to a faithful man that you love more than you thought possible, and you will look at the kids you share, and you will know that your sister just gave you the biggest gift. And you will know it's something that she can never have because she chose to be hateful to someone who didn't do anything to deserve it. Block them. Change your number if you have to. Tell whoever you need to the truth, and tell mutual friends who don't want to know anything about them. And never answer him when he reaches out with regret, because he will. For sure, OP, listen to this. She is and will always be miserable. Until she is happy with herself, she will never be happy with anyone. When her kid misbehaves, it will be your fault for making her go behind your back and get pregnant by your ex-fiancé. When it cheats on her, it will be your fault. All of her choices will always be your fault. When she's still not happy after trying to ruin your life, it will be your fault. She did not make these choices out of love or respect or kindness, and therefore she will never have real love, respect, or kindness in return. I feel horribly sorry for the kid, either going to be neglected or egregiously spoiled. One day you will realize the giant gift she gave you, preventing you from marrying that total a-hat. You will be happy again, and it will make her even more miserable. She's already really miserable. No person actually happy in the relationship reaches out to someone to say how great it is. Honestly, you should thank her the next time she texts before you block her. Get under her skin once. Thank you for saving me. If he was tempted by you, it just means that he would have been tempted by someone else down the line, and I'm not stuck with someone who could be disloyal to me. I'm not tied to him by children, so I have a fresh, clean slate. I hope you two are so happy together, and then block. I'd also mention that his lack of loyalty is her problem now, and to think about that every time he goes to the gym, works late, or fails to show up for something, because it's only a matter of time. Good luck eventually being a single mom. Every single person in your life is trash. Let them all go. Get therapy, move away, have your own family somewhere else. Your own friends, another boyfriend, everything. Just get away. Find a therapist now. You really need one. Don't be ashamed. You didn't ask for this. Your sister is mentally ill. Trust me, if you find someone else, she'd try to seduce them too. This happiness won't last long when she sees you happy again with someone else. Trust me, if you find someone else, she'd try to seduce them too. This would be my fear as well, that she would try with every future partner till the day she passed. And even if she couldn't seduce them, that she'd just lie and say she did just to mess with Opie. Sis and John planted a forever seed of doubt. Last story. Woman obsessed with my husband tried to break up my marriage, got hit by karma. 16 years ago, my husband and I were married with a 1-year-old little girl. We were high school sweethearts that went to different schools, met junior year and made it work. Where we went to different school, I met John through my husband, but never met Sarah or Cindy. Still haven't met them in real life. One night, my daughter and I spent the night at my sister's house with her 2 kids because her husband was out of town for work and she was heavily pregnant and needed help the night he would be gone. That night, my husband's best friend John, who has been friends since 2nd grade, came over to our house to hang out with him. Next day, my husband told me John's ex-girlfriend Sarah and her best friend Cindy came over to see John. John was already with a new girlfriend, Sandy. And that while John slept with Sarah in our spare bedroom, Cindy had tried to sleep with my tipsy husband. He kicked them out like 2 a.m. My husband turned Cindy down, but apparently she had always had a crush on my husband. For a year afterward, she would call his phone, Didn't know how she got his number. We changed his number twice. She kept getting it. Calling, playing music, saying lewd things. Even sending emails saying how our daughter needs to be put down so she didn't end up being a witch like me. That they would jump me and bash my daughter's head in if they saw us out alone. Kept sending updates on where I went, asked how my doctor's appointment was, how his tournament was. Creepy stalker stuff. For the longest time, I refused to leave the house without my husband because I was seriously concerned they would hurt my daughter. For a year I felt trapped in my home. I vividly remember being 3 weeks postpartum after an emergency C-section with our second child and just holding my baby and sliding down the wall to sit and cry. Because she had called again. It was 2 or 3 times a week she would call. She always blocked her number and sent the emails from an anonymous email address. For a while, I thought maybe my husband was talking to her. How else would she be getting his new numbers? I lost so much faith in him. I know he was mad about the situation and would scream into the phone to leave us alone. I saved every call log, email, and recorded what I could. I sent an email to her throwaway and said I knew who she was and that I was going to the police for harassment. Spoiler alert, I already tried, but there wasn't enough evidence because she blocked her number and nothing traced back to her. However, we were 20, she was 19, and it scared her enough to leave us alone. 3 months of peace later, and his best friend John came over with Sandy for dinner. Sandy and I were friends, and would talk about everything with the crazies, as we called them. She asked how everything with Cindy was going, and I asked her how she forgave John for sleeping with Sarah. She lost it because she didn't know. He lies, says he didn't, and that my husband got it wrong, that they were just talking. Sandy didn't believe him, and then John screamed at me. This is why I kept giving Cindy's number. She would be a better match for him. My husband threw John out, and they yelled at each other outside for a while. Turns out, John was upset my husband wasn't going out and partying with him. John thought it was me not allowing my husband to go. But that wasn't true. My husband didn't want to go. He preferred to be home with me and our daughter. The few times I went out with John, I practically had to kick him out of the house to get him to go. John couldn't understand it was my husband who didn't want to go clubbing. My husband has never been a clubbing guy. He hates people and loud music. He kicked John out of our lives that night and husband hasn't spoken to him since. We changed his number one last time and never had any other issues. For her part, Cindy got some serious karma. I couldn't help but laugh when I learned she married a guy a year later, had a kid and got cheated on, and then he left her for another woman while she was pregnant. I usually don't enjoy others' misfortunes. However, after the hell she put us through, especially during my pregnancy with our second child, I laughed when I heard. For John, he married Sandy, has 2 kids now, and tried to get back in contact with us 13 years ago after he had his first kid. He wanted to apologize because apparently after having his own kid, he realized how screwed up he was, doing what he did. He called my husband's parents because they still had a landline at a time. My in-laws had already been told years earlier what happened and that under no circumstances were they to give out our numbers to him. So we went to my in-laws, and my husband called him back and told him to never contact our family again. Side note, when husband called John back, we found out Cindy wasn't following us like we thought. John would tell her where we were going. So screw you, John. You and that psycho Cindy. I can't believe Sandy married him. She's very forgiving, definitely. No, she just believed him that nothing happened between him and his ex that night. He convinced her it was a misunderstanding. Did you not hear him confess that he was feeding your information to a woman who threatened your child's life? That seems like something that would make you run. Sandy had already walked out of the house before he screamed that at me. I have no idea what she knew. You didn't tell afterwards? I called her the next day, other than, hey, I didn't get to speak. She kept saying my husband was wrong, that John would never cheat on her, and refused to listen to anything I tried to say and then hung up on me. I haven't spoken to her since. That was 15 years ago. Sandy is the biggest freaking idiot. Perpetual doormat. I'm afraid she's being abused. When we knew them, Sandy always wore the pants of the relationship. What she said went. John was a master manipulator, but she always got her way, no matter what, from what we saw. John only had his grandmother, and Sandy had a huge family. They moved because her parents did, so they would be close to them. So I don't think she was abused. Her dad would have already unalived John if he had. And John's grandmother moved with them. I honestly have no idea what their marriage is like. We blocked their social media after we joined Facebook, and they sent friend requests. Heard they moved 4 states away about 10 years ago. Well, the end of this story was satisfying to read, I can tell you. I'm sorry she ruined the first few years with your babies. It still affected me for years. I was always worried about taking both kids out by myself. I waited for my husband, mom, or mother-in-law to go with me. It sucked big time, and I still had anxiety when I went into crowded places with my kids. A few years ago, I got my permit to carry, so I don't worry anymore. My husband and I met through his ex-girlfriend. I was dating a guy she knew and was friends with on Facebook. She showed my now husband my pic and sent me a message saying he thought I was cute. His ex had a tendency to introduce him to acquaintances of hers, knowing they wouldn't work and he would come back to her afterwards. This time that didn't happen. We hit it off right away, and from that point forward it was always us being exclusive. Flash forward a couple of months, she invites us to dinner with her and her boyfriend. I was excited to finally meet her. The entire time she completely ignored me, instead wanting to discuss their relationship and how much fun they had, with me and her boyfriend witnessing this. It got to the point I wanted to climb across the table. Afterwards, I told my boyfriend if he wanted to stay friends with her, I understood. I wanted to be neutral, since they had years-long friendship. To his credit, he stopped talking to her. 3 days ago, she sent a message to my husband on Facebook and he blocked her. We have been together 10 years, married for 8. My sister ruined my relationship, now wants help. My sister, 25 female, and I, 21 female, have been on bad terms because she did something so heinous that I can't forgive her, even though we're blood relatives. My ex-boyfriend, 23 male, cheated on me with my sister. I've accepted that I might not have been good enough for him and that he wanted someone else besides me. When my sister and I were younger, we had a close bond, but as we grew older, jealousy became a big issue. If I had something, she wanted it, and if she didn't get it, she would go out of her way to get it. She's 8 months pregnant with my ex-boyfriend's child. When I found out she was pregnant, I vomited, because what sister would do such things to her sister? I've blocked her and everything, but my family wants me to contact her. Her baby's father is nowhere to be found and hasn't been seen since the 3rd trimester. And I know this because my mother likes to gossip a lot and lets things slip out without knowing. I told her I didn't want to hear anything about my sister or my ex-boyfriend, but she insisted on me hearing everything. My mother once told me that my sister and her baby's father got into an argument because he was talking to other girls, and he put his hands on her and pushed her down the steps, causing her 3 fractured bones. But she still went back, and I don't know why, but she wanted him, so she has him. He never put his hands on me, so I'm not sure where he got it. He was never violent with me, so I don't know how it all became. But this was the start of their relationship, and I never got into it because I didn't care, because she wanted him and they wanted each other, and I stayed distant. There was a time when she wanted to come over to my house after they had an argument, but I told her to not call me ever again. Then my mom called me the other day and said that my sister needs a place to stay because she can't pay her bills and will be evicted in 30 days for failing to pay rent. She doesn't have baby food, clothes, or anything for the baby, and she doesn't have any money. That struck me as odd, because you have plenty of time to shop for the baby. I suppose her baby daddy paid for it until he left? My mother and I argued, because I was not going to let her into my house, and told her she could stay at hers. But she said we were sisters and needed to stick together. I can't tell you how angry I was when she said that. I hung up on my mother because I couldn't believe what she was saying. So when I was depressed and suffering from mental health issues as a result of my boyfriend's cheating, did anyone come to my aid? No. Instead, they consoled my sister. What irritated me even more was that my mother gave my sister my new phone number, and I kept getting messages, calls, and voicemails from her asking for my assistance. I texted her one thing and told her she should go find her baby daddy instead of bothering me to help her when she never cared about me in the first place. She wasn't happy about the text, but I didn't care. She went on about how I'm not a real sister and how she'll be poor. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Well, she is not a real sister since she decided it is a good idea to sleep with your boyfriend. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's not your problem she has no money else. It's her fault. Her stupid decisions and actions, not yours. Block her. Don't let her in. This is not your problem. Not the a-hole. Maybe also block your mother. My sister just became a single mom, and all of a sudden, it's important to support family according to my mother. No. They had 10 years to fix their act. I'm not breaking no contact because she needs money and surrogate daddy. Not the a-hole. She should consider placing the child for adoption if she is having that much difficulty. You're not accountable for it. Correct. But if we are being honest, the sister bond was broken the moment the sister betrayed Opie. If Opie's mom is so concerned about her poor pregnant mistress of a daughter, then she needs to open her own front door, instead of her gaslighting mouth, and welcome her child and soon-to-be grandchild into her home with open arms. 'Cause nope. Change your phone number again and don't give it to your mom. If you need to call your mom, you can create a Google Voice number to call her from so she doesn't have your direct number. Next story. Am I the a-hole for keeping the money my parents gave me to travel to see them because my brother was there? My brother was abusive to me growing up, in every way you are imagining. My parents covered for him and sent me away to live with family so they could take care of him rather than sending him to jail. I have not seen them or spoken to them in 10 years. That's the way I like it. My father is taken ill and he wanted to make amends. He wanted me to come see him. I said no. I did not have the time or money to take time away from my job. But my parents offered to pay for my trip and to make up for the money I will miss out on since I have no PTO. So I agreed, on one condition, that I did not want to see my brother at all. If he was there, I was leaving. He was there. I left. I had already made arrangements with a friend in that city just in case. It is a friend from university whom my parents don't know. I also blocked them on my phone. I spent the week enjoying my hometown and seeing friends and family, and then went back home. My parents thought the best way to handle it was to call me out on social media for taking their money to come see my dying father, then spending the time having fun. I did not see any of it since I was enjoying my life. But when I got to the airport, I did check my Facebook, and there were the posts and comments from their friends and family who did not know the story. So I replied that I had indeed accepted their money to come see my father, and the only requirement I had was that my piece of trash brother not be anywhere near me. I explained why I did not want him near me. I explained why he should be in jail. I explained that I was not involved in their lives because they got rid of me to defend him. This has started a massive fight with my parents and their friends and relatives. Mostly about them not telling people all the particulars about my brother and allowing him near children. And people saying that I should not air dirty laundry and that my father was dying and I was adding to his stress. I kept the money because I needed it, and I went like I agreed. Not the a-hole. I agreed on one condition. I did not want to see my brother at all. If he was there, I was leaving. This is called a healthy boundary. Bravo for setting it correctly and enforcing consequences when the boundary was broken. You're already no contact with them. Who cares what they say in social media? Plus, people are telling Opie not to air dirty laundry when the parents did it first. Funny how it's okay in one instance but not in Opie's. I agree. Opie should clearly state to those people that she didn't air the dirty laundry and a trauma of 10 plus years ago until her parents used Facebook to try to shame her and she was forced to defend herself. Call out every victim shamer. And then move on. Opie sounds amazing. Not the a-hole. You gave them one condition and your father, 1, was the one who wanted to make amends. 2, didn't keep his part of the promise, so he cannot cry about the money. 3, he tried to expose you on social media. Not your problem he gets caught lying about what really happened since they took the initiative to make it public. 4, Funny wasn't thinking of being stressed or dying while trying to call you out on Facebook. To be fair, I'm pretty sure it was my mom posting. My father isn't big on social media, but she knew the deal. Still, she posted about a private situation to make you look bad, which took the private off the whole thing and could have an impact on your father's health as well if it keeps escalating into a live argument without social media. Consequences. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my stepdaughter's birthday party after my husband threw out the cake I made for her? I have been married to my husband Jeff for a year now. He has a daughter at 12 with his deceased wife. When I first met Jeff, it was obvious that he was struggling as a single parent. For my stepdaughter's birthday, he'd usually get a cake from the bakery. This has been the case since her mom passed away. I thought I'd bake her a birthday cake for her 12th birthday that was last week, as a gesture to show some motherly love and support. Jeff agreed, and he told me what his daughter's favorite flavors are and what she likes and so on. I baked the cake in the flavor she likes and the icing she likes. But one thing was missing, and that is the blueberries. And I couldn't include them because I went to the nearest store and they didn't have them. I was running out of time and couldn't get them, so I ended up just leaving the cake as it, thinking it wouldn't be a big deal. The party started, and Jeff was busy taking care of everything else. He then came into the kitchen and asked to see the cake before bringing it out. I showed it to him, and he got so angry when he saw that there were no blueberries on top. He went on and on about how I didn't fully commit to making the cake, and that he'd trusted me to take care of it, and just basically saying that he should have just ordered one from the bakery. We got into an argument and he ended up taking it and throwing it in a trash can. I was stunned as he said, "You know what? Forget it. I'll get one from the bakery." I blew up and screamed at him. He told me to stop, but I went upstairs, got dressed, and left. He tried getting me to stay, but I refused and went to my parents. He later called and then texted about how I overreacted and hurt him and my stepdaughter by leaving. Also said that I created this situation by not properly making the birthday cake, just because I didn't put blueberries on top. I refused to respond, but my parents say he was justified, since he must have felt pressured from the stress of making his daughter happy on her birthday. He keeps trying to speak to me, but I don't respond. Am I the a-hole? Did I overreact? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You went out of your way to research what kind of cake your stepdaughter would want, put in the effort to bake a cake after agreeing with the dad on you baking the cake, and baked a lovely birthday cake. It was just missing one kind of deco because you couldn't source it in time. And it went nuclear and threw out your cake? Yeah, I wouldn't have stayed around after that either. It is a childish, vindictive, aggressive, and hurtful way to deal with what is saw as a less than perfect situation. He seems extremely overprotective of his daughter. She's 12 and would probably love this cake even if it didn't have blueberries. Even if she had noticed and said something, she could have been told the shop ran out. And at her age, she should be able to understand that and learn to deal with that kind of disappointment. Are you pushed aside in other parenting situations too? How is your relationship with your stepdaughter? It's only been a year and he already treats you like this? I'd reconsider this marriage. OP is not the a-hole, but also blueberries aren't in season, at least in the US. Her husband is aware of what month or season it is, since it's his daughter's birthday, and shouldn't have faulted her for the store not having fresh produce out of season. Not the a-hole. He threw away a homemade cake because there were no blueberries on it. And you think you overreacted? Has he had explosive reactions like this in the past? Because that's kind of scary. If he reacts this way over missing blueberries, what happens when something really goes wrong? OP this. I get it's his daughter's birthday, but he threw away the cake. And then tries to get you to stay, to have you there to blame, and says you overreacted? I'm sorry, this guy has some serious control and anger issues he needs to work through. You're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. 1. No cake in the history of cakes has been ruined by not having blueberries. 2. I've been around people who would get this anal about blueberries. It's never about the berries, it's about control. 3. Huge red flag. Watch out for how easily it comes unhinged about other little things. If it's always your fault, look up the characteristics of narcissist and see if it fits that bill. Here is the narcissist's credo. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my late father's wife I don't owe it to her to lie? My dad passed away recently. We had not spoken for more than 4 years. I-22 male was his only surviving kid from his first marriage. My mom and 2 siblings died in a car wreck when I was 9. My dad and I were in a car behind them, so he saw it happen but were not directly involved. After my mom and siblings died, my dad focused on moving on and finding a new wife. He met Trish 2 months later. They got married after 6 months together. Trish was a single mom of 2 kids and their dads were not around. So my dad decided he was going to step up and be their dad. He told me I owe it to them to be the best big brother and to learn from my brother and sister who had been amazing older siblings. I said no. I told him I did not agree to being anyone else's sibling and I would only ever have 2 siblings. He always said I would regret it and he told me he hated me. He had 3 more kids with Trish and I never tried to bond with them either. When I was 15, Dad and I had a fight that was sort of us done for good. He read my sister's diary on what would have been her 18th birthday, and he didn't like what he read about her friend having half-siblings and he took it out on me. After that, it was agreed I should live with my aunt and uncle. but Dad would still call sometimes, asking me to regret my lack of interest. Trish is the one who told me he died. She sent me the obituary via social media. I did not go to the funeral, but I did see her at my uncle's house. I left once they arrived because I was only there for my uncle. She tracked me down a couple of weeks later and told me her kids were asking about me, and she said I needed to speak to them and to try and be their older brother. I refused to do it. She told me I need to tell them I regret my actions and miss them and Dad, and want to be part of the family, and that I owe her that much after making life harder when I left, and leaving her with young kids who wanted to know why their brother wasn't around. I told her I don't owe it to her to lie and say something I don't mean. I also told her to leave me alone. She yelled, and I walked away from her. She then contacted me on social media again, telling me I should be ashamed for treating my dad's widow that way, and that I do owe her. I blocked her, but she attempted to reach out via my uncle then. She's clearly very angry. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole for not bonding or following her wish to try again, but please get the therapy. Your dad apparently neglected to get you back when your family died, so you can process that loss. The adults in your life really failed you back then. I started going to therapy last year. My therapist was shocked. It was my first time after hearing about the incident. Geez, the car accident alone would have been enough for almost anyone to sign their kid up for therapy. Never mind the garbage that followed. You would think, but no. Not the a-hole. Your dad did you a massive disservice by finding a replacement family so soon. This did not allow you any time to grieve properly. Your feelings, or lack thereof, are no one's concern but your own. She most likely wants you to be their older brother, so you can babysit them all the time. Yep, she doesn't care about OP or his relationship with her kids. She just wants babysitting, and probably will start asking for monetary help. She and OP's dad treated OP terribly. Not the a-hole. Your father chose to put himself over you when your mother and siblings tragically died. Rather than wait an appropriate amount of time and go through the pain of it all with you, he instead sought comfort elsewhere. You made it clear you weren't ready for that. He forced something uncomfortable on you and then emotionally abused you. It then sounds like he physically or at least emotionally mistreated you again due to the content of your deceased sister's diary. You owe Trish and her children nothing whatsoever. Those were her choices that she has to live with. They're strangers to you. It sounds like she and your father have gaslit these kids into believing they have some magical big brother out there, which is cruel of Trish and your father to do when they knew your feelings. But in no way should make you any more willing to become part of something you are, as I said before, a stranger to. It was emotional. He was yelling at me asking how he was supposed to tell his other kids about my siblings, when he had it in black and white that my sister saw half-siblings as lesser generally, and that she thought it's dumb to think you should love them. Again, all this was written about her best friend, and how my sister felt about what her best friend was going through. My dad said things to me after reading her diary that I never forgot, and he's dead now, and it's something I will never truly forgive him for. I'm learning to let it go, but it will always be something that made my already poor perception of him way worse.